that's been going down with each successive outing. 22 strikeouts versus an opponent's batting average of 348. You look at Washington, and Washington has thrown 45 innings, 22 strikeouts versus 27 walks. Another one of those players who has struggled in relief. Two, 3, 4 to face Washington to start the sixth innings. The Beacons got one back but left two more on. UMass Boston has left 9 through 5 frames. On the other side, UMass Dartmouth has had their issues with runners left on board. They've left at least one in every inning. They've left 8, but they've also come up with a few more big hits. Major hits it back to Washington, who underhands it over to Cassidy Gaeta for the first out of the 6th. The final line on Greenspan, 5 innings, 7 hits, 5 runs, just 3 earned. It even could have been less if the Beacons had played a little bit better defense on some of those 50-50 balls that weren't errors but could have been outs. The big issue, 6 walks. Not what Greenspan wanted, and 1 strikeout. And all 6 of those walks came after the strikeout. So Greenspan, her game 1 is over. She's still likely going to start game 2. Right now in line for her first career loss against UMass Dartmouth, the team she dominated in 3 games a season ago. Emily Colton, the second baseman, ahead in the count 2-0. She walked and was thrown out in the first, singled, stole a bag, and scored in the third, and flew out on a great running play from Taylor Paulina in deep left center field to end the fourth. Corsairs have not had success in the odd innings. They scored 1 in the first, 2 in the third, 2 in the fifth. No runs in the second, fourth, and sixth thus far. 3-1 here to Colton. We'll see if she gets the green light. Just like Greenspan, Washington has struggled a bit with the walks. 3-1, just a bit high. Oh, no, that's the rare strike that looked like a ball. 3-2. Washington's 3-2 is hit out to center field. Paulina tracking it easily and makes the play. So now Colton has been retired on back-to-back flyouts to the center fielder, and there's 2 down to start an inning for the first time today. Chance for the first 1-2-3 inning for either side. Haven't had many quick frames as Sierra Sheeran, who was pinch ran for back in the 5th inning, steps up to the plate for the 4th time. She has popped up to the first baseman, flown out to right, and reached on an error by the shortstop. Hits it over the shortstop once again. This time Braga fields it cleanly, throws it across. And for the first time today, the Beacons have retired the Corsairs in order. We'll take a look around the rest of the conference in a moment as UMass Boston sees where they stand, not just here, but in the LAC standings. We'll bring you a look around the rest of the conference before the start of the 7th. First, the bottom of the 6th. The Beacons down to their final 6 outs, trailing by 4 runs. 8-9-1 to start the 6th. Giovanna Bonilla, Cassidy Gaeta, and Ari Bellotta. Beacons now DP. So the Beacons look for some late-game magic against Annika Evanson, who did give up the 1 run in her first inning of work, the 5th inning, but was able to get out of it with 2 runners in scoring position thanks to a fly out to center by Taylor Paulina. Giovanna Bonilla has reached once, reached on an error by the third baseman, also grounded out to short. Lefty slapper doing her job and hitting the ball to the left side. Count is 1-1 to Bonilla. It's also been busy, at least early on, in right field. 1-1 to Bonilla. Flares it foul over towards a sea of Corsairs fans, and it bounces out of one of the hands over there. Great crowd for today's doubleheader, and no surprise, it's nice out. Haven't seen weather this nice pretty much all spring. Temperatures supposed to get up into the mid-50s. Feels a little bit warmer than that in the sun. A little bit low and inside. 2-2 now to Bonilla. Beacons have had at least 1 base runner in every inning. Actually have had 2 or 3 in most innings. Just haven't been able to come through in clutch situations. Bonilla is going to step out as the umpire confirmed the count. Bonilla to be followed by Cassidy Gaeta, who had a hit in her last at-bat. 2-2, Bonilla chops it, and the shortstop Fields throw from Major is in time. Great play by Leah Major to get the speedy Bonilla by a half a step. As soon as that ball gets past the circle, it's going to be a bang-bang play for most of the lefty slap hitters in the Beacons lineup, and that was a really strong throw from Leah Major. Corsairs have made just the 1 error, and it was a error that didn't allow a runner to score. It just allowed 2 runners to advance. The Beacons' errors have been more costly, allowing 2 runs to score, ballooning the lead from 3-0 to 5-0. Gaeta takes a first pitch strike. She popped up to first in the 2nd. Had a sharply hit single out to left her last at-bat. Straightened it over there at first base. 0-1, fouls it off down the first base side. It'll get out of play. 0-2 now. Gaeta out of North Reading, Massachusetts. Still looking to get in a little hot streak at the plate. She's just above the Mendoza line at this point. Bounces up there. Really prolific hitter in high school, especially with the pop. Did hit a home run down in Florida, looking for her first home run here in New England. She came into the day hitting .217 with a .329 on base percentage, 7 runs, 10 RBI, 2 doubles, and a homer. Does have good plate discipline with 10 walks. Swings and misses. Evanson picks up her 2nd strikeout of the game, 3rd total for Corsairs pitching. And now if our Bellotta doesn't reach, we'll have had back-to-back 1-2-3 innings, or 1-2-3 frames for the first time today. Neither team had gone down 1-2-3 in the first 5 innings, and now we could see 6 up, 6 down here in the 6th. A little bit of symmetry there. First pitch to Bellotta is over her head as she ducks. Bellotta has walked, struck out, and lined out to second. Looking for her first base hit of the day. Came in 3rd on the Beacons with a .304 batting average. 7 doubles, and a team-high 19 runs scored. Takes it low, 2-0. Bellotta is 2nd on the team with her 13 walks this year. Carried an on-base percentage of .396 coming into the contest. See if she gets the green light at 2-0 with Kiera Prusmack due up next. 2-0 is high, 3-0 now. While the Beacons pitchers have struggled with their strikeout to walk ratio, UMass Dartmouth the exact opposite. They came in at 145 strikeouts to 46 walks. And today they have 3 strikeouts to 2 walks. So not quite where they want to be. Ooh, that one is called a strike. Maybe just above the belt. Bellotta did duck down. 3-1 now to Bellotta. Evanson checks the sign. And the ball is rifled back up the middle by Bellotta. So the Beacons have had a base runner in every inning. And she's aboard for the Beacons' 2-hole hitter, Kiera Prusmack.
Now batting the left fielder, number 12, Kiera Prusmack.
7th hit of the day for the Beacons. All 7 have been singles. Kiera Prusmack has reached twice. She flew out to center on a great diving effort from Maddie Ogrizik in the first. Singled past the third base in the last half inning. Tries to put down a bunt here. Third baseman feels the throw, is not in time. And the Beacons runner will take off for third. And now Prusmack is going to have to head back to first base as she tried to take advantage of Colton. The Beacons with runners at the corners as the third baseman, Sheeran, had to vacate third base on the bunt. And then there was no one covering the bag. Great awareness from Bellotta and good work from the Beacons third base coach, Josh Bartley. So UMass Boston, just like that, a little bit two-out rally. Can the Beacons come out with some more two-out hits and some more hits with runners in scoring position? The Beacons had their first back in the 5th inning after starting the day 0 for 8. It was Gigi Braga with a single out to left that scored Prusmack. And now Prusmack and Bellotta are aboard for Kelly Danahy, who has grounded out to second, reached on a bunt single, and was hit by a pitch and stranded at third base back in the 5th. Huge spot right now for UMass Boston. If you can score both of these runs, you give yourself a chance in the 7th. Obviously, you'd like to tie or take the lead right here, but that's going to be a tall task with UMass Dartmouth having a couple of pitching options out of the pen if necessary. Danahy came in hitting at .392. Officially 1 for 2 today, so that batting average should be up a little bit closer to 400. First pitch to her, runner takes off and heads back to first base. Remember, with 2 down, you could throw it down to second base hypothetically if you think you're going to get the runner, although Prusmack is the Beacons' fastest runner. 0-1 to Danahy, who on the year has 6 doubles, hits it out to right down the line, and it is a fair ball. Danahy's got at least a double. 2 runs are going to score. She's thinking 3, and the Beacons have cut it to 5-3, and they have a runner at third base with 2 down. 3 straight 2-out hits, and just like that, UMass Boston is in business with a chance to continue their comeback with Roxanne Vento stepping to the plate. We're going to see a change for UMass Dartmouth, and in the circle it will be Hannah Smith, who went 4 scoreless innings to start this game. Evanson probably done for the game, although if this game goes a few more innings, who knows. She went an inning and 2/3, allowed 4 hits. Thus far, she's in line for 3 runs, 3 earned, although the runner at third base, Danahy, could be charged to her if the Beacons were to score another run. She did issue 2 hit-by pitches, struck out 2, and did not walk a batter. So it brings Smith back into the game. Hannah went 4 innings, allowed 5 hits, no runs, walked 3, and struck out 1. So Smith will face off against the top hitter in the Beacons lineup in terms of power, Roxanne Vento. Vento went 0 for 2 against Smith, grounded out, actually 0 for 1. She walked and then grounded into a double play to the second baseman.
The catcher, number 9, Roxy Vento.
Vento, the player most likely to tie a game with 1 swing of the bat. does have 3 home runs on the season, 10 for her career. We'll see what she can do here as she is 0 for 2 on the day. Popped up to shorter last time up. Nice block from Hart on the pitch down in the dirt. Danahy with good speed. Could be sent home on anything that gets away from Hart. Danahy just had the biggest hit of the day for the Beacons. A 2-run, 2-out triple down the right field line. 1-0. In on the hands of Vento. Fouls it back. Roxanne leads the Beacons with her 18 RBI. Chance for RBI 19 potentially right here. Smith looking for the sign from Hart. The 1-1. Vento takes it up high. Now the good thing here is you don't have to give Vento anything too good because first base is open. But if you put Vento aboard, then you have the tying run on base. So you can see either side of that one. 2-1. Fastball maybe at the knees, maybe a little bit lower, 2-2. That's a pitch that's not called on right-handed hitters, but has been called on lefties today. Smith looking for a big third out. The 2-2, and Vento pops it up. Calling for it is Major and making the play a few feet away from the second base bag. So the Beacons do get 2 runs back. They've scored 3 over the last 2 innings, and now those 2 unearned runs back in the 5th loom large as UMass Boston trails 5-3. Let's take a look around the rest of the conference. WestCon broke a 4-4 tie with a 5-4 8-inning victory. So WestCon, who came in today tied with UMass Boston, and Keene State is now 3-4. Southern Maine falls to 5-4. Good news if you're a UMass Dartmouth fan. That says ECSU. It should be Plymouth State, who actually came back. They were down 1-0, scored 2 runs in the 7th to win 2-1. Plymouth State moves to 6-1. EastCon now at 6-3. So the Plymouth State with a game lead over the Warriors going into game number 2. Of course, Plymouth hosted last year's tournament, one of 4 teams who were part of the LEC co-regular season champs. And Keene State, who was tied with UMass Boston and WestCon at 2-4, leads Rhode Island College. So with a loss here, the Beacons could actually be in that dangerous 7th spot in the LEC standings if Keene State can win. You don't want to be in 7th or 8th. Drew Washington, who had a 1-2-3-6, faces off against 5-6-7, has a chance for her 4th out, popped up to Alyssa Tully, and Jill Richards is retired. Remember, only the top 6 teams make the LEC tournament. Now, there's a lot of games left. UMass Boston has 2 tomorrow at WestCon, and then they face off against Keene State on Tuesday at Keene before hosting Rhode Island College next Saturday. Right now, with so many teams close towards the bottom, you have to figure that 6 wins might be the mark to get to, maybe 7 wins. Right now, the Beacons with a lot of games left, hit hard out to center, but pretty close to Paulina, who makes the play in the line drive from Fletcher. And Washington is 1 out away from closing out the Corsairs in the 7th. 5 up, 5 down.
Now batting the designated player, number 17, Carrie Farrell.
Brings up Carrie Farrell, who has walked, grounded out to short, reached on a fielder's choice, where the Beacons got the lead runner. UMass Boston trying for a late comeback. They trailed 5-0 after 4.5, scored 1 in the 5th, 2 more in the 6th. For the Beacons, it'll be 5-6-7 in the bottom of the 7th. They try to come back against the Corsairs. The big hit thus far for UMass Boston, Kelly Danahy's 2-run triple, flared out to shallow left center. Prusmack is under it, and makes the play. So Drew Washington has done everything you could have asked of her. 6 straight outs. Now can the Beacons get something going against Hannah Smith in the 7th? They have not scored a run against Smith. They did score 3 against Evanston in an inning and 2/3. Alyssa Tully, Gigi Braga, and Taylor Paulina for UMass Boston. Working against Hannah Smith, who came on to get the final out of the 6th inning. Got Roxanne Vento to pop up to short with the runner on 3rd. As Alyssa Tully will step up for the 4th time today. Reached on a fielder's choice to end the 1st. Flew out to shallow center the 3rd. Head 2-0 now. And struck out swinging. First of 2 strikeout victims against reliever Annika Evanson. A 2-0 to Tully, hit over to the 3rd baseman, bobbled a little bit, and that's going to end up as an error on the Corsairs, just the 2nd of the game. And if you are looking for a rally, a comeback, well, you might need a little help from the opposing team. Sierra Sheeran's 2nd error of the game, and it puts Tully aboard over at first base with no outs. Brings up the Beacons' hottest hitter right now. 5 for 6 on Tuesday, make it 7 for her last 8. She's reached all 3 times today. A walk, a single out down the left field line, and an RBI single to left center. Braga is really feeling it. Takes the first pitch on the inside half, 0-1. Braga has tremendous speed, so a ball hit to the left side. Might be easier to go to second rather than first. 0-1, high, 1-1. Braga started the season 1 for 19. She came into today 18 of 68, and she's now 20 of 70. So she's 19 of her about last 50. Pretty impressive after a slow start. Slaps it foul. Down to her last strike here at 1-2. And 19 of 51 is a .372 batting average. Really impressive from a player who came back from Florida hitting .053. The 1-2 is slap foul. Do it again. Braga going to be followed by Taylor Paulina. UMass Boston looks to dig themselves out of an early 5-0 hole. They scored 1 in the 5th, 2 in the 6th. Beacons have left 10 through 6 innings, and Gigi Braga may be dealing with a sneeze there. Just had to step out. 1-2. Braga chops it over the shortstop. A nice easy play for Major. A diving throw, and it's a double play. The Beacons just hit into their league-leading 12th double play, and it couldn't come at a worse time. I don't quite know what Alyssa Tully was doing down at first base. It looked pretty obvious that ball was going to get to the shortstop Major in the air, and Tully is gunned down at first base. So the Beacons do the one thing they really couldn't afford to do, hit into a double play, and now they have no one on, down 2 runs, and they're down to their final out. Paulina hits it back over to Major, a chance to close it, and the Corsairs do. UMass Boston, too big of a hole to dig themselves out of. The Corsairs' 2 runs in the 5th inning that were both unearned are the difference in this one, as they earn a 5-3 win, and UMass Boston finds themselves, at least for the moment, all alone in 7th place in the LEC standings. take a quick look through our post-game show before we wrap up the first of two broadcasts. See the final score there, 5-3 in 7 innings. The Corsairs with a couple big games from their 5- and 6-hole hitters. Kylie Fletcher with a pair of hits and a walk. She had a big 2-run double in the third. And Jill Richards had 2 hits and an RBI in the 5-hole. Right now, we'll take a moment to give a shout-out to our production crew who did a phenomenal job in game number 1. Our producer, Seth Orensky. Our director is actually Lauren Mitsiaris. I know she isn't happy with me right now. My name is Seth Orensky doing the play-by-play. And Cassie Murphy, as she has done for every game this season on camera for the softball team. She has certainly dealt with the elements as well as any of the Beacons players. We will stop the stream here on Game 1. We'll be back in about 20 minutes with the Game 2 stream. You'll have to exit out and go into the Game 2 video link on the Beacons or Corsairs Stretch Internet portal. Thanks so much for watching Game number 1. The Corsairs win 5-3 over the Beacons. Hello, and welcome back for game number 2. Game crept up on us a little bit. Still trying to get the starting lineups into my score sheet. My name is Seth Dorensky, bringing the action. Corsairs won the first game 5-3 after going ahead 5-0 in the 5th. Beacons fought back, got a run in the 5th and 2 in the 6th, but hit into a double play with a runner on first in the 7th and eventually fell 5-3. Drew Washington is the starting pitcher for the Beacons. She is ahead in the count 1-2 against Maddie O'Grizik, the center fielder, to be followed by Leah Major, Emily Colton, Sierra Shearing. Those four stay the same. Jill Richards moves up a couple spots. Kylie Fletcher, Carrie Farrell, Hannah Sullivan, and Hannah Smith close out the batting lineup as O'Grizik pops one up on the infield. Gigi Braga is under it and makes the play at short for out number 1. So the same starting 9 for the Corsairs. The lone change, well, there are no changes actually. I had Richards in the wrong spot. So UMass Dartmouth will use the same 9 players in the same 9 spots. And in the flex position, we will see Caitlin Hart for a second consecutive game. The shortstop, Leah Major, freshman out of Fairhaven, Mass, who's ahead 2-0 against Washington, the freshman out of Bordentown, New Jersey, who went 6 up, 6 down in the 6th and 7th after coming on for Jess Greenspan. Beacons potentially saving Greenspan since they have 2 road games tomorrow. Long run for Bonilla, who makes the running play just shy of the right field line for the second out. So Washington has done a really nice job to start her day. Has retired all 8 batters she faced. Remember, the Corsairs had scored 5 runs in 5 innings against Greenspan, only 3 of them earned, but they had accumulated 7 hits and 6 walks, so they'd had a lot of base runners, whereas Washington has not allowed 1 thus far. Beacons also had Megan Hoban, their third pitcher, warming before this game. So the Beacons likely to use 2, if not 3 pitchers in this game, too, trying to piece it together, hoping for a split against the Corsairs. This is Emily Colton, the senior second baseman. 1-1 is Amy Gaetani, who was on the base pass for game number 1, is now behind the plate. Rudolph Sanda moves from behind the plate to the base pass. So the 1-1 bounces up there. Colton in the first game went 1 for 3 with a single, a stolen base, and a run scored. Also walked. Her 2 outs were both fly outs to the center fielder, Paulina. Gets a piece of that one. 2-2. For the Beacons defensively, it's the exact same group. In left, Prusmack. In center, Paulina. And in right, Bonilla. Just misses on the full count pitch, and Colton works her second walk of the day. First base runner against Washington through 2 2/3. For the Beacons on the infield, from left to right, Ari Bellata back out there at third base. She started game 1 at third and moved to the DP spot, switching with Alyssa Tully. Gigi Braga's at short. Kelly Danahy at second. Cassidy Gate at first. Fouled down the third base line by Sierra Shearing.
Batting is the third baseman, number 11, Sierra Sharon.
Sheeran, the third baseman, went 0 for 4 in game 1. Popped up to first, flew out to right, reached on an error by the shortstop, and grounded out to the shortstop. Ball hit over to the shortstop once again. Braga will go to first. The throw is in time. And Drew Washington has worked a third consecutive scoreless inning. Can the Beacons take their first lead of the day? We'll find out after this audio break. The pitcher for UMass Dartmouth is Hannah Smith. She picked up her league-leading 11th victory of the season. Her ERA coming in was 1.73. That's even lower after throwing 5 1/3 innings of scoreless softball. Smith allowed 5 hits, 3 walks, and a strikeout over her first 4 innings before coming on with the runner on third in the 6th and 2 down and getting 4 of the 5 batters she faced, as she also allowed a runner to reach on an error. So 5 1/3 total innings, allowing 5 hits and not giving up a run in the shutout victory for her. Ball knifed up the middle. Colton coming in and easily makes the play to retire Ari Bellata. So an interesting thing here is to see if the Beacons can make adjustments here in Game 2. They're facing Smith for the 3rd, maybe even 4th time today. The Beacons' batting order is very similar to Game 1, not quite the same. Kiera Prusmack pops it up foul. Beacons' top 4 hitters stay the same. Bellata, Kiera Prusmack, the left fielder, Kelly Danahy, the second baseman, followed by Roxanne Vento, the catcher. The one change is the 5-hole hitter, Tori DiCenso, who did not play in Game 1, is in there. The freshman first baseman's the DP. As Prusmack tomahawk chops that one foul, 0-2. DiCenso in the 5-hole to be followed by Gigi Braga, Taylor Paulina, Giovanna Bonilla, and Cassidy Gaeta. So 8 of the 9 position players stay the same for UMass Boston. New pitcher, UMass Dartmouth, makes no changes here in Game 2. 0-2. A little bit high. 1-2 now. Beacons swept the Corsairs a season ago in 3 meetings. Had won 4 in a row before their 5-3 loss in Game 1. A game that their defense really let them down. Swung on and missed. A rare strikeout for Smith, who was thrown just 2 on the day. And the Beacons quickly have the first 2 batters retired. Brings up Kelly Danahy, who had the biggest hit of the day for UMass Boston, a 2-run, 2-out triple. She shows punts it back to the pitcher, Smith, who will go over to Colton for the 3rd out. And the Beacons go down quietly here in the 1st inning after the 1-4 bunt put out. Take a look ahead for UMass Boston between half innings before we bring you the 2nd here at the UMB softball field. UMass Boston still has 8 games after this one, 6 of them in conference. Tomorrow, a big doubleheader against Western Connecticut State, the 2016 LEC Conference champs. The Beacons winning the tournament in 2017 after falling to the Colonials in 2016. Then they travel to Keene State on Tuesday for 2 important games. Host Salve Regina on Wednesday, and then finish off the regular season with 2 next Saturday against last place Rhode Island College. Beacons need conference wins right now. UMass Boston, who they were picked first in the LEC preseason poll, a pretty close preseason poll. They won their first ever LEC tournament title a year ago. In a pretty bad spot at this point with just the 2 conference wins through their first 7, but you can get to 6 wins. 6 wins should get you in, and from there, we've seen it the last 2 years, the LEC tournament on both baseball and softball, it's wide open. You get into the tournament, it's anyone's game, especially in a double elimination tournament. The Beacons, as a 6 seed in 2016, made it all the way to the title game, losing to 2nd seeded WestCon. Last year, as a 4 seed, the Beacons earned the LEC tournament title. Really, it just comes down to playing good softball for 4 or 5 games in May. 3-0 pitch in there on the inside half with the breaking ball to Jill Richards. Richards, the pitcher who hits and plays the field more than she actually pitches. Takes that one outside, a 5-pitch walk. Washington is allowed 2 walks through 3+ innings of work. Richards is the first baseman here in game number 2, just as she was in game 1. She's now played in 17 straight games after not playing in the first 15. Kylie Fletcher, the right fielder, steps to the dish. Fletcher had a big 2-run hit in game 1. 1-0 to her. Fletcher went 2 for 3 in game 1. Single to left, a 2-run double to the wall and right. A walk and a run scored in the 5th, and then a line out to center. Difficult out. Fletcher has been very patient early in counts, and that's helped her right here as she's ahead 2-0. Kylie out of Dighton, Mass, the same hometown and the same. She hits it hard at Braga, who'll go to second, a chance for 2, but long time getting the ball out of her glove for Danahy. So the Beacons will get a fielder's choice there on the hard hit line drive. UMass Boston's done that a couple times today where they haven't been able to catch a ball in the air, but they've been able to get the lead runner. Richards is retired, 6-4, and Fletcher is aboard with 1 down on the fielder's choice.
Player number 17, Carrie Farrell.
Brings up Carrie Farrell. Farrell in that first game. This ball's hit over to the third baseman. Bellata goes the long way. The Beacons won't turn 2, but they get another fielder's choice, eliminating the lead runner, which is almost as good. And now there are 2 down with the runner aboard for Hannah Sullivan. Sullivan, the left fielder, put down a bunt and popped up foul to the first baseman in game 1 before being pinch hit for. It was the big hit of the game. Brittany Polk came in and had an RBI single that resulted in 2 runs after a Beacons error. That came in the 5th. Sullivan even in the count at 1-1. Sullivan has just 6 hits and 30 at-bats this year, but I've seen her make some great defensive plays. Off the corner, 2-1. Washington looking for a 4th consecutive scoreless inning. She hasn't given up a hit yet. Really good work from the Beacons freshman out of New Jersey. 2-1, chopped foul. 2-2 now. UMass Boston has not led at any point during today's doubleheader. They found themselves down 1-0 after 1, 3-0 after 3, 5-0 after 4.5. Cut it to 5-1 in the bottom of the 5th. Scored 2 more and left a runner at third in the bottom of the 6th before going down semi-quietly in the 7th. UMass Boston really needs to get at least 1 win this weekend, if not 2 or 3, to put themselves in a better spot heading into their last 4 conference games. So that's another walk from Washington. It's typically where she struggles, and she has issued 3 free passes here through the first inning and 2/3. Washington coming into today had given up 27 walks versus just 22 strikeouts in 45 innings. She's now given up 30 walks in 48 2/3. First pitch strike to the 9-0 hitter Hannah Smith, who's also pitching. Smith went 0 for 2 in game 1 with the walk. Hits it to shallow right. This one is going to be a diving effort, and Giovanna Bonilla with a tremendous grab to Rob Smith and likely to keep the Corsairs off the board. A huge play from Giovanna Bonilla, diving full extension in shallow right. And the Beacons out of trouble in the top of the 2nd. Roxanne Vento, the reigning LEC Player of the Year, looks to get the Beacons going here in the bottom of the second. Roxanne struggled in game number 1. She struggled at home this season. She went 0 for 3 with a walk, hitting to a double play, a pair of pop-ups to the shortstop, and she lines it down the first base line. That's got to be interference. The first baseman not recognizing, and Vento is going to be into second either way, but the ball's thrown into left. That's actually a big play by Hannah Sullivan, backing it up. They're going to give Vento the double. She might have been in there either way, but it was interference on the first baseman. So Vento is going to be given the clean double. That's her time for her team leading 7th. She's back into a tie with Ari Bellata, and she's in scoring position for Tori DiCenso. It was a bit of an odd play as Vento ran into the back of Richards at first, who just had her back turned, not expecting Vento to make the turn. Vento was safe at second either way, but Vento stopped. And the right fielder, Fletcher, got the ball, but her throw was offline anyway. So Vento is in scoring position for DiCenso, the UMass product. Stands at 5'7", hit her first career home in Emmanuel 2 weeks ago. 1-1 to DiCenso, big hack, and she comes up empty. DiCenso making her 27th appearance, 24 start, hitting .254, 16 of 63 with 10 runs scored. Third on the team with 12 RBI behind Vento and Taylor Paulina, the Beacons' junior captains. 3 doubles, a homer, and 17 strikeouts. Fortunate that that pitch stayed up high as it was very close to dipping into the zone. 2-2 now. Her 4 extra base hits have all come in the Beacons' last 12 games as she had a bit of a power outage to start her career. 2-2 is inside, nearly caught her, and she's saying it did hit her. Beacons fans agree, but Amy Gaetani, no reaction. Senso in a bit of a slump right now, 0 for 6 in her previous 3 games. Before hitting a pinch hit single on Tuesday against Southern Maine in extras. Hits that ball hard out to right. It's over the head of the right fielder and hits the base of the wall. The Beacons had their first lead of the day, and DiCenso has her 5th extra base hit of her collegiate career. That was a rocket over the head of Fletcher. Back-to-back doubles, both to right, and UMass Boston has their first run of the day against Hannah Smith. That ball got over the head of Fletcher in an instant, and now we'll see if the Beacons let Gigi Braga, who's red hot, swing here if they try to put down a sacrifice. Braga shows bunt, puts it down foul. She was looking for a potential base hit there rather than just trying to move the runner over. Gigi, who went 5 for 6 against Southern Maine, added a pair of singles and an RBI, a walk, and then lined into a double play, a hard hit line drive at the shortstop major in the 7th. Showing bunt and gets it down. The third baseman, Sheeran, fields. The throw is in plenty of time, but DiCenso moves up on the 5-4 sacrifice bunt. So the Beacons have a runner at third with 1 down for Taylor Paulina, who's looking for RBI number 17. Infield is in right now. Really interesting decision. It's a 1-0 game here in the second, but all 4 infielders are well in as Paulina takes the first pitch in. And this isn't exactly a bunting situation. You have one of the Beacons' better power hitters and someone who can bunt for sure, but not one of the Beacons' hitters who traditionally are asked to bunt. So interesting decision-making from Amy Sasson. We'll see how it pays off. 1-0 is hit out to center. This is deep enough to score the run, and it's going to be caught by Ogrizik. A sacrifice fly from DiCenso, and just like that, the Beacons have their first lead at 2-0 here in the second. Back-to-back doubles, a sac bunt, and a deep sacrifice fly out to center field. That's exactly how you draw it up with a runner on second and no outs. So the Beacons have their largest lead of the game, and they've scored the last 5 runs in this doubleheader. Gave up the first 5, have answered with 5, just not in time to potentially tie up game number 1.
Now batting the right fielder, number 5, Giovanna Bonilla.
Giovanna Bonilla steps up with no on and 2 outs. He out there in right field made a tremendous diving effort to keep the Corsairs off the scoreboard in the top half of the inning. Chops it foul, and it's now 0-2. It's been a decent day for UMass Boston athletics teams. The men's tennis team already wrapping up an LEC regular season title. Baseball team picking up their program record 14th straight win as Bonilla takes strike 3. And the Beacons will be limited to just the 2 runs in the inning. But their first lead of the day, we head to the third. It's UMass Boston, a 2-0 lead over UMass Dartmouth. Got a couple quick updates from around the conference. All game ones are final. WestCon won game 1, but they look like they're in for a split with Southern Maine, who leads big in game 2. Plymouth State looking for the sweep of EastCon, which would put them really in the driver's seat for first place and hosting a second consecutive tournament. And Keene and Rick just went final in game 1, a 10-4 win, as Danahy takes it and throws it over to second base. An easy first out for Washington after Maddie Ogrizik swung at the first pitch. Washington has not allowed a hit thus far today. She went the final 2 innings of game 1 and has thrown the first 2 and a third here in game 2. Has allowed 3 walks all in game 2. Ball hit over softly to Braga. Throws, and there's quickly 2 outs on 2 pitches. Some really interesting decision-making here from the Corsairs after giving up 2 runs. Being very aggressive against Washington.
The second baseman, number 2, Emily Colton.
Brings up Emily Colton, who was the first base runner to reach against Washington. Worked a walk in the first after Washington had retired the first 8 batters she had faced. Colton's had a nice day today. She's walked twice, singled, scored, has a stolen base, and has flown out to center twice. Bellata with a nice snag, and this is the defense the Beacons couldn't put together in game number 1. A 4-3, 6-3, and 5-3 ground out. We head to the bottom of the third. UMass Boston looks like a different team right now. Bottom of the third inning, the Beacons scored their first 2 runs of the day against Hannah Smith in her 7th full inning of work. She's gone 7 1/3 thus far. And you see Cassidy Gaeta stepping up to the plate. If you heard a little bit of an odd musical selection in the background, that is the latest fad. It's the Walmart yodeling child, for lack of a better way of describing it. And quite a few hitters, at least here at UMass Boston, have changed their walk-up song to that. Chris Fowler, the Beacons baseball team, has done the same. Ironically, both players play first base. So I don't know if first basemen really like yodeling or if it's just a completely random occurrence. 1-1 to Gaeta, the Beacons' 9-hole hitter and first baseman. Takes it low, bouncing up there. 2-1 to Gaeta, who had a sharply hit single out to left in game number 1. Went 1 for 3 with a strikeout. Beacons look to capitalize on their momentum right now. Swung on and foul, tipped back into the glove. 2-2. Gaeta to be followed by Ari Bellata and Kiera Prusmack as the Beacons look for at least the split today. That would be huge, more so for the Beacons than the Corsairs, who are still trying to get a top 2 or 3 seed. They're in a good spot. If Southern Maine were to sweep, or rather if Plymouth State were to sweep Eastcon would have 4 losses. The Corsairs, if they were to sweep, would move ahead of Eastcon, who came in a game ahead of the Warriors, as Gaeta comes back to work a full count walk. First walk issued by Smith here in game 2 after she allowed 3 walks over 5 1/3 innings in game 1. Beacons looking to pick up a key 3rd win. Right now they sit in 7th place, a game back of both Keene and Westcon, who sit at 3 and 4. The Beacons at 2 and 5. Bellata over towards Colton, and Gaeta a foot off the bag, able to get back in time. Seen Emily Colton make a lot of plays over there at second base. Smith has kept a lot of these right-handed hitters off balance, and they've hit a ton of balls on the right side.
Now batting the left fielder, number 12, Kiera Prusmack.
Brings up Kiera Prusmack, who struck out swinging, just the 2nd strikeout of the day for Smith. Shows bunt, can't catch up to the rise ball, 0-1. Key, as she's known to her teammates, was hit by a pitch and scored in game 1. Also had 2 singles to the 3rd baseman and flew out to center on a nice diving effort from Maddie Ogrizik. Ogrizik is a terrific defensive center fielder. If I remember right, as a freshman, she went over the wall in Florida to make a home run robbing play. 1-1, hit out to center. Ogrizik's not getting this one, and the Beacons have 2 aboard, as that's the beauty of a slapper. If you can slap it over the infield and it's not hit too hard, it should get down into some empty space. 2 on with 1 out, and we'll see what the Beacons elect to do. Danahy had the big hit in game 1, but she was given the sign to bunt back in the 1st and bunted back to the pitcher. Danahy hits it out to right, tailing foul, and it will get foul. You really have no idea, if you have our angle here in the press tent, on whether the ball is fair or foul down the line until you see the reaction from the Beacons dugout. We had no idea where the ball landed on Danahy's 2-run triple until the Beacons' entire dugout spilled out and the first base coach was jumping up and down. Sometimes that happens when the ball's foul too, but that's for different reasons. 0-1 here to Danahy, the second baseman, who pops another ball foul. This one down the 3rd baseline, 0-2. Danahy in game 1 had a single, a triple, 2 RBI, a hit by pitch, and a ground out. 2 for 3, 2 for 4 on the day. She's close to 400 on the season. Hits it out to right, but this one should be playable. Going back on it, not able to make the play. It's going to be at least 1 base, maybe 2, although the Beacons don't have runners in the right spots, and Prusmack was tagging up, so the Beacons have runners at all 3 bases instead of potential run scored, as Gaeta was holding the Beacons up. And that should be a single there from Danahy, her 3rd hit of the day. Hit it over the head of the right fielder, who got turned around a little bit. And Roxanne Vento, who doubled past the first baseman down the right field line in her last at-bat, a chance for a couple RBI. Came in with the team-high 18. See what Smith elects to do here. Infield is in once again. This makes more sense down 2-0. The infield was in with a 1-0 deficit when Taylor Paulina rocketed a ball to center. A fly ball should score Gata, but Gata the slowest of the Beacons' 3 base runners out there. Gata at third, Prusmack at second, Danahy at first. 1-0 to Ventos, popped up. It'll get over the backstop, just barely. 1-1. A good chase from Caitlin Hart, the flex position player who's done a nice job all day behind the dish for the Corsairs. One and one to Vento, who broke out of her funk a little bit with that double down the right field line. Pops it up on the infield, and making the play is Hart for the second out of the inning. So the base is still full of Beacons with 2 outs now, and Tori DiCenso, who crushed a ball over the head of Fletcher out in right field that hit the base of the wall her last at bat for an RBI double, steps up with the bases loaded. UMass Boston trying to avoid a letdown here after loading the bases with 1 out. Fouls it off the top of the Corsairs dugout, 0-1. UMass Boston gave up the first 5 runs of today's doubleheader through 4.5, but have scored the last 5, and they lead 2-0 here in the third, looking to stretch their lead out a little bit more, trying to get some key insurance runs. 0-1, hit softly down the third base line and foul. 0-2. Smith, not a big-time strikeout pitcher. Realistically here, she's just trying to get this out any way she can. Some pitchers, this situation, they're thinking strikeout all the way. But Smith has thrown just 3 strikeouts in over 7 innings of work today. 0-2 is popped up. Should be playable. Sheeran is under it in foul territory, struggling with it a bit, but makes the play, and the Beacons leave the bases loaded in the promising bottom of the third inning. We head to the fourth, UMass Boston nursing a 2-0 lead.
Yes, sir.
Take a look around the rest of Beaconville. Track and field is at the Sean Collier invite. Of course, Sean Collier was the MIT policeman who was shot and killed in the aftermath of the 2013 Boston Marathon bombing. He was the last person killed, an off-duty policeman who was killed the night before the Boston police caught the Sarnaeff brothers. Beacons baseball team won their 14th straight win. They're now 8-0 in conference play, looking to make it 9-0 as that game's in the bottom of the 5th. The Beacons lacrosse team lost 20-10, and the Beacons men's tennis team a 9-0 victory. They are now 5-0 in conference play.
Leading up for the Corsairs, the third baseman, number 11, Sierra Sharon.
For the Corsairs in the fourth, working against Drew Washington, who's now in her 6th inning of work today. Most conference innings she's pitched in a doubleheader. It'll be 4, 5, 6. Sheeran, Richards, and Fletcher. Realistically, UMass Boston should have all 3 pitchers available, but if Washington keeps pitching well, there's no reason to change it. Washington is not allowed to hit through 5 innings. That one bounces past Vento to the stop, 2-0. The only issues she's had have been walks. She issued a walk in the first, 2 more in the second. Allowed 3 walks through 5 innings and has set the Corsairs down in order in 3 of her 5 frames. Ball hit over the head of the third baseman Bellata, but tails foul. That was nearly hit number 1. Sheeran in the first inning grounded out to short with a runner at first base after a walk. UMass Boston, their record indicates that they've struggled all season at 10-19, but at home, they've been competitive as Sheeran rockets a ball past the glove of Washington out to center. First hit of the day against Washington. With the exception of a Game 2 loss to Leslie, in which the Beacons fell 10-1 after a extra inning comeback win in game number 1 against the Lynx, the Beacons have been in every single home game. So 11 games, they've been competitive in 10, says a lot because the Beacons, 10-19 with quite a few mercy rule losses in games where they just mentally kind of get knocked around a bit. 0-1 is outside to Richards. This is a tough part of the order. Talking 4, 5, 6, 7. All 4 hitters capable of hitting the ball hard and potentially for extra bases. Hit out over the head of Bellata. That one's going to stay fair. Runners at first and second with no outs. Just like that, the Corsairs back in business after they were able to strand the bases loaded in the bottom of the third. That happens a lot. A team gets a little bit of spark from their defense and pitching. And now it's Kylie Fletcher, the right fielder who went into a fielder's choice. Her first time out. Grounded out to the shortstop, and the Beacons got the lead runner. Hits it past the diving third baseman, and the Beacons have no one covering the bag. 3 straight hits through the infield. Just like that, the Corsairs have a chance to potentially take the lead here in the fourth. Carrie Farrell hit into a fielder's choice. Ball hit over to Ari Bellata, the third baseman, who went to second to get the lead runner in the second. See if Corsair should allow her to swing away. Ball bounces up there. Some teams might think about a squeeze play here, but Farrell's got some pop. Hit a home run the other day. Also be interesting to see what they'll do with the next batter, Hannah Sullivan, who saw a pinch hit for in game 1. She comes up with still 3 on and maybe 1 out, or even a chance to take the lead. They might pinch hit for her again. You can do that once in softballs. It does look like there's a pinch hitter about to step into the on-deck circle. Quickly 1-2 now. Washington does not have a strikeout today. Strikeout right now would be huge. Came in with 22 in 45 innings, so about 1 out of every 2 innings, but today in her 6th inning of work is yet to get one. Outside, 2-2. This is a Corsairs team that hasn't struck out much today, just the 1 time on the day. They had struck out 101 times in 30 games. Hit softly over to the shortstop. The Beacons will throw home, and it's a good throw from Braga. A confusing play over there at third base as Bellata and Braga both came after the ball. The good thing was that the runner, Sheeran, the third baseman, maybe waited a little bit, hesitated to see if the ball would be caught in the air, and that allows the Beacons to get yet another fielder's choice. Eliminated Sheeran at the plate. Big first out. Jill Richards moves to third. Kylie Fletcher to second. Carrie Farrell to first, and we will have a pinch hitter for Hannah Sullivan. It's Lexi Pereira. Pereira making her 29th appearance. It started in 24 games today, but it's the first time we've seen Pereira. She's 16 of 69 with 9 runs scored, 2 doubles, tied for second with 3 home runs, and 12 RBI. So this is a pretty nice weapon to have off your bench. In the lone pinch hitter they used in game number 1, Brittany Polk had a big hit. See if Lexi Pereira can come through for the Corsairs. Bases full of Corsairs with 1 down now. Pereira, the sophomore from Middleborough, Mass. Third baseman who played in 31 games as a freshman, now 29 as a sophomore. She is in the midst of a big slump. 1 for her last 19 over her last 7 games. Trying to end that right now. Outside 2-0. Nowhere to put Pereira. Washington gave up 3 straight singles to start the inning. Got a fielder's choice. Trying to get a big second out. 2-0 is low, and this is a tough spot right now for Washington. You have to come with something over the plate. See if they give the green light to Pereira. If they make Washington throw at least 1 strike. That one's low. Ball 4, and the Beacons walked in a base runner, but 3-1 actually, as apparently I wasn't the only one confused by that. Base runners knew what was going on. 3-1 is softly hit back to the stop. Pereira was ahead. Now it's 3-2. A nice job by Washington there to get the 3-1 over the plate. Big battle right now between Pereira, the sophomore, and Washington, the freshman, trying to keep the Beacons ahead here in this pivotal game, too. 3-2, offering well outside, and this time it is ball 4. Washington has now issued 4 free passes all in this game. And I think we're going to see a change for UMass Boston. Natalia Ardagna out to talk to home plate umpire Amy Gaetani. I don't know if we're going to see a pitching change, a defensive change behind Washington. I think everyone else is confused as well. It's going to be Greenspan. Just Greenspan, the Beacons. Ace will come on for Washington, who pitched really well. I mean, phenomenally well behind Greenspan. Got 6 up, 6 down in game 1, and then here in game 2, didn't run into any trouble here until the 4th, but she has gone 3 1/3, allowed just the 3 hits all in this inning. The walks were a problem, just as they were for Greenspan. Right now, she's been charged with one run on 1 hit. Did not have a strikeout, and she's eligible to return. Greenspan pitched the first 5 in game 1, 7 hits, 5 runs, 3 earned, 6 walks, and a strikeout. She can't afford a walk right now. The Beacons have already walked 1 run in. She'll come in and try to settle down. The Beacons, as it'll be Hannah Smith, pitcher versus pitcher. Smith a chance to help herself. She almost did back in the 2nd, flew out to shallow right, but a diving effort from Giovanna Bonilla stranded a pair of Corsairs. At least one of those runners would have scored if Bonilla had not been able to make the catch. First pitch is low from Greenspan, who went 3-0 a season ago against the Corsairs with a 1.05 ERA, but did give up 3 earned in 5 innings that took the loss of game 1. Bases full of Corsairs. The Beacons lead 2-1. That is on the outside corner, and it's very obvious game to game you're going to see some changes. Amy Gaetani has been calling that pitch on the outside corner to right. He's low. We now see Rudolph Sander, our base umpire, come out and have a conversation with Jess Greenspan. Now, the question is here, did he call the illegal pitch, or did he just come out and warn Jess Greenspan? It's always interesting to watch whether umpires are going to warn and then issue the illegal pitch, or just go straight to the illegal pitch. 1-1 is high, 2-1. Smith has hit for herself in both games, still looking for her first hit. She's 0 for 3 with a walk, came in hitting .250, 4 for 16. She's now 4 of 19. 2-1, 2-2. So now they did reverse it. The illegal pitch was called a ball, so it's 3-1. Ball hit softly over to Bellotta, bobbles it, and the throw is not in time. It's going to go as an error on the Beacons' third baseman, and a second run comes in for the Corsairs. They easily should have gotten the lead runner if not for the bobble, and the Corsairs have tied it, and now they have a chance to take the lead. So a bases loaded walk and now an error have tied the game. With Richards coming in. Fletcher's at third. Farrell at second. Ball is chopped foul on the first baseline. Rather, that was Fletcher scoring. Farrell to third. And Lexi Pereira, the pinch hitter, to second, with Smith at first base now. Matteo Grizik went 0 for 2 against Washington. Has 1 hit on the day in 6 at-bats. Chance to give her team the lead. 0-1 to her. On the outside, half for strike 2, 0-2. UMass Boston had a chance to break this game wide open in the third, but they stranded the bases loaded with 1 out. See if it comes back to bite the Beacons, as the Corsairs have already answered with 2 to tie it. 0-2 is hit out into foul territory and shallow. Prusmack makes the play just off the infield dirt, and that's a big second out for Greenspan. Should be the inning. Realistically, the Beacons should be out of it right now, leading 2-1. See if Greenspan can keep this inning from going any further after Leah Major, who is 0 for 2 in this game, too. Flew out to right and grounded out to short. Beacon should be out of it with a 2-1 lead. But just like in game one, their defense coming back to hurt them. Over to Gata. And Gata's going to go home. All she had to do was step on the bag. And that was the third out, but no one recognizes it. So everyone in the scorer's table is confused, but they called an illegal pitch on the catch by Ogrizik. So Ogrizik is retired on a fielder's choice rather than a fly out to left. The Beacons do get the lead runner, so Cassidy Gata was aware of what everyone else, at least on this table, wasn't. And there are 2 down with the bases loaded for Leah Major. It was a little confusing as to why Leah Major was hitting from the left side instead of the right where she's hit all day. 2-0 here to Major with a chance to give her team the lead. 2-1 now. That would have been a really confusing play if Gata hadn't recognized that there were only 2 down. So Pereira to third, Smith to second. Ogrizik very fast over at first base. 2-1, fouled over towards us. And it's now 2-2. UMass Boston trying to keep this game at 2-2 and no further. Beacons should be out of the inning at this point, but the error by Bellotta allowed the tying run to come in and potentially could allow even more runs to come in. 2-2 flared over towards the Beacons dugout, and it stays at 2-2. UMass Boston's defense has not been at their best today. They were charged with 2 errors in game one, but they were both costly errors, allowing the 4th and 5th runs to score in a 5-3 game. And then an error here in the 4th, the Beacons' first of game 2. It's allowed this inning to extend and allowed the game tying run to score. Out ahead of this one is Major, and Braga makes the call. So the Corsairs limited it to 2, thanks to 2 outs from Greenspan. Should have been 3 quick outs. Instead, UMass Boston tied 2-2 instead of leading 2-2 through 3.5. Yeah, it's So the final line on Drew Washington as it stands right now, 3 1/3 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs, 1 earned, 4 walks, and no strikeouts. She can't earn the win, obviously, because the game is now tied at 2-2, but she did a great job of keeping the Beacons in this game. Now can they get more runs against Hannah Smith? They've been hard to come by today. Smith, who went 5 1/3 innings in game 1 scoreless, has allowed 2 earned runs here through 3 frames. But it could have been a lot more if not for the Beacons hesitating on a ball that was hit out over the head of the right fielder, Fletcher, with Cassidy Gata holding up. And then UMass Boston hitting into back-to-back outs that didn't score a run in the third. As we have a conversation right now between Amy Sasson, one of her lead assistants, and the base umpire, Rudolph Sanda. Not quite sure what that's about.
Leading off for the Beacons, the
For
shortstop,
UMass
number
Boston,
3,
it'll be
Braga.
6, 7, 8. Braga, Paulina, and Bonilla. Braga put down a sack bunt 5-4 in the second that moved Tori DiCenso to third. She came in on a sacrifice fly on the next batter, so it was a well-executed inning for the Beacons. Braga on the day is 2 for 3. It's a pair of singles and an RBI. Not bad for the 6-hole hitter who has seen her batting average rise with almost each successive doubleheader. Fouls that one off. 1-1 now to the sophomore out of Medford, Mass. 2-2, bottom 4. UMass Dartmouth looking for the sweep. UMass Boston desperate for a conference win here in Game 2. They've lost 3 in a row after being swept last weekend against EastCon. Ironically, the Beacons are the only team to have beaten Plymouth State. Beacons split with the Panthers and were actually winning in both games of that doubleheader. But the Beacons have really struggled to sweep anybody this season, much less the top team in the LAC, at least in terms of conference standings. The Corsairs have the most wins. Braga takes that inside. 2-1 now. Three and 1. With Taylor Paulina awaiting on deck. Braga takes it high. She's aboard for the 4th time today. Now the Beacons have the go-ahead run at first base for Taylor Paulina. Paulina flew out to deep center field with a sacrifice fly back in the second inning. See if the Beacons potentially bunt in this spot or if they'll let Paulina hit away. Caitlin Hart, another nice snag on a ball that was close to the dirt. It's got to be really nice for these Corsairs pitchers, all 5 of them, to have confidence in Hart, keep everything in front. Just also minimize the Beacons' run game. 1-0. Paulina, a check swing bunt, and making the play is Sheeran. I don't know if I've ever seen Paulina do that, and she's done that twice today, and that time it really didn't work out. I guess the idea of that is just a really short swing trying to pop it up over the infield as Braga dove back into first base, but might have caught her hand awkwardly. Beacon's trainer, or at least one of the trainers who's here today amongst the 4 home games, comes over and checks on Braga, who had to dive back in to beat a potential throw. Giovanna Bonilla steps up with the runner on first and 1 out. Bonilla struck out looking to end the second with a runner with no one on. Beacons had used the previous 2 outs to score the second run. Bonilla to be followed by Cassidy Gata as the Beacons trying to take the lead right back after a 2-run top of the 4th for the Corsairs tied it. 1-0 to Bonilla, nearly caught her, 2-0. 2-1 to the sophomore right fielder out of Queens. 2-1. Takes it on the inside half, a breaking ball, 2-2. Everything's been inside to Bonilla here in this at-bat. 2-1. I'm not even going to guess the count anymore. To my little bit of credit, the scoreboard is directly behind me. Still shouldn't be that hard. 2-1 pitch fouled off, 2-2 now. So maybe I'm just a little bit ahead of the times. 2-2 to the Beacons, 8-hole hitter. Bonilla reached once in game 1 on an error by the third baseman. Also grounded out to the shortstop twice. Looking for her first hit. Smith taking a long time to get the sign. Winds and deals, 2-2. Bonilla slaps it foul. Good battle here. The Beacons desperate for the lead right back. We're going to see Amy Sasson come out and potentially make a change or just have a conversation about the slap versus bunt there from Bonilla, which sometimes you do see coaches argue that a batter is bunting, but we'll see a conversation. And they're just going to re-enter the left fielder, Hannah Sullivan, who came out for a pinch hitter in the last half inning. Now, it's not a huge deal at this point, but if Sullivan's spot had come up and she hadn't been re-entered, technically that would be batting out of order. You see that very infrequently. It actually happened last weekend with UMass Dartmouth's baseball team, who were here against UMass Boston. In Game 2, they changed their batting order, and the players didn't recognize it the first time through, and the Beacons caught a break. That's an automatic out no matter what the result of the at-bat. 3-2, and that is on the outside corner. Bonilla thought it might have been low. Instead, it's the second straight strikeout looking for Smith against Bonilla, and she's got 3 through 3 2/3. Cassidy Gaeta steps up with a runner on first and 2 down now. Pitches high to Gaeta as the Beacons. That's another thing they struggled with this year, not moving runners quickly. They haven't stolen a ton of bases, just 12 on the year. Last year, Kiera Prusmack by herself had 11. Gaeta takes that inside, throw it out at first, not in time. The Beacons have also struggled to get sack bunts down. And when you're a team that's struggling with the bats, you can't afford to also struggle playing some small ball. 1-1 to Gaeta, the Beacons' 9-0 hitter and first baseman. Out ahead of that one, fouls it off. Make it 1-2 now. Gaeta looking to keep this inning going against Smith. 1-2 is swung on and missed. Back-to-back strikeouts to end the inning. Smith's got 4 in Game 2 after 1 in Game 1. Head to the 5th. Got a good one. It's 2-2 between the UMass schools.
Sitting out for the Corsairs, the second baseman, number 2.
Top of the 5th, Jess Greenspan out for her first full inning of work. She should have gotten 3 outs in the 4th, but the Beacons committed an error behind her to allow the tying run to score. She's likely on for as long as this is a close game, as the first pitch is outside to Emily Colton. Colton was the lone batter to not step up to the plate in the 4th, as the Corsairs sent 8 different batters up to face the combination of Washington and Greenspan. 1-0 to Colton is a little bit high. Colton in her first 2 at-bats against Washington walked and grounded out to third. So we're going to see another illegal pitch here called by Rudolph Sanda. Colton in Game 1 against Greenspan went 1 for 2 with a single past the third baseman, a fly out to center, and a walk. Natalia Ardagna will join them for a little bit of Council of the Minds. Remember, folks, we'll be back on Wednesday, depending on the weather, with games at 3:30 and 5:30 against Salve Regina before the Beacons close out their home schedule with home games number 15 and 16 on Saturday at 1 and 3 against Rhode Island College as Natalia Ardagna pleads her pitcher's case. Greenspan has been called for illegal pitches occasionally, but she's not one of those pitchers who consistently gets it. We're going to take an audio break and let them settle this, as it's 2-2 here in the top of the fifth. We're back to softball. It's 2-0. That last pitch was a ball either way, but the illegal pitch makes it an automatic ball. So Colton steps up with a big lead in the count. 2-0, bounces off the glove of Vento. Was pretty close, but you're never going to get a call when the catcher doesn't make it. 3-0 now to Colton, and the Corsairs would just love base runners here, trying to take the lead and not steal a game here in game 2, but come back and to rally for the victory, as there's some half-hearted applause after Greenspan gets a strike call there. 3-1. 3-1 from Greenspan. It's just a bit high, and it's a 5-pitch walk to Colton to start the inning. Greenspan had 6 walks over 5 innings in game 1. That's the first one she's issued. The Beacons, though, between their 2 pitchers today, have now walked 11 batters through 11-plus innings. And that is a recipe for disaster, especially leadoff walks like the one Greenspan just gave up. Brings up Sierra Sheeran. Takes the first pitch, strike, didn't like it. You can see it from her face. Sheeran today in game 2 is grounded out to short to end the first and had the first hit against Washington. First of 3 straight hits when she hit a sharp single right past Washington in the circle. 1-1 as Colton darts on and off first base. Emily over there at first base does have 9 steals in 10 tries this year, but we haven't seen either team really be active on the base pass. She's 1 for 1 today. Hit softly over to the shortstop, long throw from Braga, and Gigi able to make the play to retire Sheeran as she moves up Emily Colton into scoring position with 1 down.
Now batting the first baseman, number 22, Jill Richards.
Brings up Jill Richards, who also had a single in her last at-bat. Richards is yet to be retired in this game. She walked and singled over the head of Bellata at third base. Richards has had herself a day. Jill has walked twice, singled twice, and been out twice on the infield. So 2 for 4, reached 4 times. Not bad for the first baseman, who takes it inside. Quickly 0-2 to the freshman out of Kingston, Mass. Kelly Danahy's former high school teammate, who just continues to hit well away from home. She is now 13 of 29, over 440 on the season away, versus just 4 of 17, a 235 batting average at home. Pretty weird split. 1-2 here to Richards. Greenspan looks to work around the leadoff walk. 1 down in the 5th, a 2-2 game. Hit softly down the third base line. It's in foul territory and doesn't hang up long enough for the Beacons third baseman, shortstop, and left fielder to quite get over there in time. Two teams have seen a lot of each other the last 2 years. 3 playoff meetings in addition to 2 regular season games. On the outside corner, strike 3. Greenspan's second strikeout of the day in about 7 innings of work. And that was a big first strikeout for UMass Boston, as it keeps Colton at second base for Kylie Fletcher with 2 down. Fletcher grounded out to the shortstop as part of a fielder's choice and singled through the left side in the last inning. Fletcher scored the game-tying run on the error by Bellata back in the 4th. The Beacons should be leading 2-1 if not for that error. A little bit in tight, 2-0. At 2-0, the Beacons don't have to give her something to hit with first base open. But the next hitter, Carrie Farrell's a pretty good hitter in her own right. The interesting thing for UMass Dartmouth is they've already used a pinch hitter for Hannah Sullivan. So Sullivan will either have to hit for herself the rest of the way, or they'll have to take Sullivan, one of their best defenders, out of the lineup. Either way, a tough choice for Amy Sasson, who pinch hit Pereira back in the 4th inning, and she worked a bases-loaded walk. The 2-1 coming, popped up, foul, 2-2. Greenspan's done a really nice job of adjusting here. She struggled a bit in game 1 after her defense let her down and she issued a walk, or actually she was called for an illegal pitch, but she's done a much better job settling down here, especially after that error. She got the next 2 batters, actually got 3 outs, but an illegal pitch cost her one of them, and then has settled down after a leadoff walk where there was another illegal pitch called. On the outside corner, another strike 3. Back-to-back strikeouts for Greenspan, her 2nd and 3rd of the day. And the Beacons still tied through 4.5. 2-2 through 4.5 innings, a big difference from game number 1 when the Beacons were down 5-0 at this point of the game and had to fight their way back. They fell 5-3 in that first game, got a run in the bottom of the 5th, 2 more in the 6th, and left a runner at third base in the 6th inning before going down a little bit quieter in the 7th. For the Beacons against Hannah Smith, who's the conference's leader in wins and ERA. For UMass Boston, it will be Bellotta, Prusmack, and Danahy. Top of the order here for UMass Boston, looking to get that all-important go-ahead run. Remember, this is a huge weekend for UMass Boston, not 2 but 4 conference games. Beacons do not want to have to take the long drive down to Danbury, Connecticut tomorrow after a doubleheader sweep. Popped up on the infield, Hart in foul territory, makes the play. The catcher has been good at getting out of her stance and creeping after pop-ups, and Bellotta is retired for the 3rd time here in game number 2, all on pop-ups on the infield. See if she can readjust her swing and get back to her well-hitting ways. That one is on the inside half, a delayed call there from Amy Gaetani. Prusmack struck out swinging the 1st and then singled to center in the 3rd. She was stranded at second base as the Beacons stranded the bases loaded back in the 2nd. Hits it out to left, but Sullivan playing in tight and not able to make the catch. It's going to be a single. We had a bit of a conversation there, but that's a tough play for Sullivan. A ball hit right at you, and it was tailing down. Prusmack now 2 for 3 in game 2. And she's got 4 hits on the day, also reached on a hit by pitch. Prusmack, one of the Beacons' best base runners. We'll see if they potentially try to move her over to second with the stolen base. The Beacons do not have a steal today. Danahy put down a bunt and was retired in the 1st and then singled over the head of the right fielder, but the Beacons couldn't get a run out of it as they were waiting to see if it would be caught in right back in the 3rd. Low and outside. And they called that strike 2. Surprises me a bit. Danahy has 2 singles, a triple, a hit by pitch, has been retired twice today. 3 for 5, up over her head. And it's 1-2, and the Beacons fans who are as frustrated with the scoreboard as anything else are getting after Amy Gaetani right now. 1-2 to Danahy, a runner at first with one down. Beacons trying to get the lead right back. Danahy hits it over to the first baseman. They have a chance to go for two. The throw, the tag is not in time. Oh! A delayed call from Rudolph Sarna, and I don't think he got that right. Prusmack was in underneath the tag, and we're going to see a conversation from Josh Bartley. Obviously not a force out. We'll see a conversation between our umpires, but 95% of the time, one umpire will not overrule another, and I think the Beacons just hit into their second double play of the day, and that's a really tough call because it's not a force out at second. So the tag has to be applied. Prusmack, it looked like, was underneath the tag that was not – it was not quite a bang-bang play, and they're going to rule Prusmack out, and the Beacons are just incredulous. Beacons will make a defensive change, the same change they made in game number one. The DP will move to third base. The third baseman is moved to the DP spot. So Alyssa Tully is in at third base for Ari Bellata. Greenspan continues to work with the tie. She would have loved to have had her team take a lead right there. Instead, the Beacons hit into their third double play of the day. They've hit into a 4-3 double play, a 3-6 double play, and a 5-3 double play, all on the infield as that one is chopped foul. It'll be Carrie Farrell, Hannah Sullivan, and Hannah Smith, 7, 8, 9 here in the sixth. If UMass Boston can get out of this inning, potentially take a lead in the sixth, they'd only have to face the top of the order one more time. 1-1, hit softly over to the shortstop, a cue shot. Braga on two bounces, throws across. Gigi had the one error back in game one that proved costly as it was helped lead to the fourth and fifth runs, but she's played really good defense outside of that error. Tough to put it all on one player as the Beacons made a lot of mental mistakes in that first game. Some of them weren't ruled as errors, but go down as questionable plays as Hannah Sullivan steps up to the plate. The 8-hole spot for the Corsairs has walked twice. Sullivan worked a walk in the second. Lexi Pereira, a bases-loaded RBI walk in the fourth. Sullivan has 6 hits on the season. She doesn't have a hit today, but Brittany Polk in game number one had an RBI pinch hit single as part of that 2-run inning to make it 5-0. Greenspan behind 2-0 to the 8-hole hitter. Chopped foul. It looks like Hannah Smith will hit for herself. Pitcher and 9-hole hitter. And honestly, why do you take Smith out at this point? The only real damage the Beacons have done all day was that back-to-back doubles in the second inning. Those are their only 2 runs against Smith, who has worked all but an inning and 2/3 today for the Corsairs. Three-one pitch on the outside half as Greenspan looks to at least force Sullivan to swing here. It's a 3-2 pitch with one out. Sullivan pops it up. Vento comes over the backstop, but it'll get out of play just over the bleachers behind home plate. Greenspan struck out back-to-back batters to end the fifth. Our second and third strikeouts of the day. She's also issued 7 walks, make it 8, as the 8-hole hitter or 8th spot in the lineup is still looking for that first official at bat.
Now batting the pitcher, number 14, Hannah Smith.
Runner at first is Sullivan with Hannah Smith, the pitcher, stepping up. Smith picked up an RBI on what should have been a fielder's choice, but the Beacons' third baseman, Ari Bellata, bobbled it, allowing a run to score to tie the game. If you're a Beacons baseball fan or Beacons athletics fan, the baseball team just pushed their lead to 3-1 in the 7th of game 2, looking for identical 3-1, maybe bigger victories. Hits hard down the third base line, but foul. Amy Sasson and her staff thought that the ball might have nicked the bag. I lost sight of it as the Beacons catcher got up out of her crouch, but that was awfully close, and Sullivan unhappily retreats down to first base. One and one, Smith forced to step back in. The 1-1 bounces up there. Didn't make it close to home plate, but no advance from Sullivan. Two one outside, 3-1. Greenspan looking to avoid back-to-back walks here. Don't want to walk the 8 and 9 hole hitters who both came in hitting at 250 or below, with the leadoff hitter due up next. 3-1 now. Hit up the middle, chance for 2. Braga to Danahy. The throw will not be in time. Pulls Gata off the bag nonetheless. The Beacons today have been kings of the fielder's choice. They've turned a lot of them, and they've gotten the lead runner every single time. Sullivan is erased. Smith up to first base. And it brings up the leadoff hitter, Maddie Ogrizik, who has popped up to short, grounded out to second, and reached on a fielder's choice. Ogrizik slaps that one foul. Oh, 1 to Ogrizik, big swing and a miss. The throw down to first, not in time, and it gets away. Gata can't find it, but Smith is just content to stay there. She got hit in the ribs by that one, potentially, although she looks to be fine, just laughing it off. Oh and 2, 2 down, runner on first. Ogrizik takes a pitch that was out of the zone. 1 and 2 now. To the leadoff hitter and center fielder for the Corsairs. Danahy is way in at second, as is Paulina in center and Bonilla in right. 1-2 is on the outside corner. Ogrizik didn't believe it. It took a while for me to recognize it as well. The third strikeout for Greenspan over the last 2 frames, all 3 looking. Head to the bottom of the 6th. The Beacons have a run in them. We'll find out. It'll be Vento, DiCenso, and Braga for UMass Boston. Roxanne Vento leads off the fifth after a controversial, or the sixth, after a controversial ending to the fifth inning in which the Beacons hit into their third double play. I don't know what Natalia Ardagna is arguing with Rudolph Sanda at this point about. It's probably a collection of several frustrations, the illegal pitches, the play at second base, which is what I was going to mention. But right now, Ardagna is having a conversation with our base umpire. And now she's retreated over to the first base coach's box. Those two probably a little bit too close in proximity for Rudolph Sanda's liking. See if Vento can reach and pull Sanda off the first base line. First pitch to Vento, a breaking ball that's high. The interesting thing, if you like to get into hypotheticals, which obviously matters a lot more to broadcasters than actual players, but if Prusmack was aboard at this point, instead of being called out on a bang-bang play, then if Vento had a hit like she does here, then the Beacons would have just scored the go-ahead run. Instead, the Beacons have a runner at second with no outs, and I mentioned off-air to our press tent that I thought it was a very high chance that Vento would lead off with a hit. So my hypothetical is there. Now, there's no guarantee Smith would throw the same pitches or that Sullivan wouldn't make that play in a similar situation. But it is interesting as Vento now has two doubles and a run scored here in game two, 2 for 3, and she is at second base as the potential go-ahead run with no outs. This is an interesting spot. DiCenso's a power hitter. Do they bunt with her? They do not, at least at the first pitch, and she hits it past the diving major. Coming in is Ogrizik. They're going to hold Vento, and it's the right decision, an absolute cannon of an arm from Ogrizik. It does allow DiCenso to move to second, so 2 runners in scoring position with no outs, and that is what you like to see out of DiCenso. If you're going to have her swing hard and hit it hard, and she hits it past the diving shortstop major, so the Beacons have a chance maybe not just for 1 run, but 2 if they can execute. This is the situation they couldn't execute in game 1. See if they can do it here in game number 2. Gigi Braga, who has just been scorching hot here in LEC play, will step to the plate after dancing a bit. In game 2, she's walked and put down a sac bunt. In game number 1, she had a pair of singles and RBI, a walk, and line into a double play. In her last 2 LEC doubleheaders, she has 7 hits in 9 at-bats. She's also walked twice today. Just been a very difficult out for Southern Maine and UMass Dartmouth. The 0-1 to Braga, hit over to the shortstop. She will go to first, no advance. And DiCenso retreats to second, hit it hard, but right at the drawn-in major. So Braga unable to get the job done, but it brings up Paulina to the plate, and Taylor already today has done the job. Flew out to center, a sac fly back in the second. This is a similar situation. 1 out, a runner at third, hit the ball deep into the outfield and get the run home. This is hit shallow into right. Going back on it, this is going to be a difficult play, and it bounces in front of the right fielder. A run will come in. The Beacons lead 3-2 as diving in there was Fletcher, and it bounced just over her glove. UMass Boston, a fortuitous break there to take a 3-2 lead. DiCenso and Vento had to hold up, but because the ball bounced away from both Colton and Fletcher, the run easily comes in. And Paulina's got a pair of RBI here in game number 2, including the go-ahead RBI hit as Vento has scored twice. So DiCenso's at third. And now I think Amy Sassen's going to check on the right fielder, Fletcher, who got up a little bit slowly, but it appears Fletcher is okay. So now you have Kiera Prusmack up with Paulina at first, and you have to figure with the drawn-in infield, Prusmack's taking on this first pitch. The Beacons are going to try to advance the runner. Oh, it's Stromana Bonilla, excuse me. Wrong part of the lineup, so we're at the 8-hole instead of the 2-hole, but either way, is Bonilla swings and fouls off the first pitch. Clearly, my softball guesses are not on at this point. 0-1 to Bonilla. The infield drawn in. Runners at the corners. Bonilla bunts that ball off the catcher. 0-2. And she takes it a little bit high. The runner takes off for second, and Paulina will take second base. So now 2 runners in scoring position. A single to the outfield could give the Beacons a 5-2 lead as they look for an all-important second insurance run here in the 6th. The 1-2 is popped, and it's over the head of the pitcher, but Colton comes in right behind. Those 2 players, matter of inches away, and Emily Colton makes another important play on the infield. 2 down, 2 runners in scoring position, a 3-2 Beacons lead, and Cassidy Gaeta steps up. Gaeta had a hard hit single in the first game. In game 2, she has walked and struck out. Smith has 4 strikeouts, looking for a potential fit. That one's low, and another great play by Hart to keep the ball in front. 1-0 here to Gaeta. Gaeta hits it, and it's off the glove of Smith. A long throw from Major, and it's in time. It'll go down as a 1-6-3, and if UMass Dartmouth is able to get a run in the 7th, that's the big play, as Smith couldn't make the catch, but Major able to recover and throw down to first for a big third out, as that easily would have scored a 4th run. Top of the 7th inning, 2-3-4 for the Corsairs. Last chance for UMass Dartmouth here. They've trailed the entire way. It was 2-0 up until the 4th inning when they scored 2 runs, a bases-loaded walk, and an error brought in a run. Beacons taking the lead in the bottom of the 6th inning on a Taylor Paulina bloop single in front of the right fielder, and now the Corsairs trying to at least tie it here in the 7th, if not take the lead against Jess Greenspan. Leah Major is 0 for 3. She made a huge defensive play, though, to get Gaeta at first base. In game number 2, she's flown out to right, grounded out to short, and popped up to short. Takes the first pitch low. Drew Washington went the first 3 1/3 innings in this one before being pulled. Jess Greenspan has come on and pitched the last 2 2/3. Has not given up a run. In fact, hasn't given up a hit. On the inside half, 1-1. Greenspan has walked 2 and struck out 3. Beacons trying to get out of here with a 1-1 day. The 1-1 out ahead of it. Over to Braga, bobbles it, still has time. The throw is there in time. A great recovery from Braga at shortstop. And the Beacons get an all-important first out. Still 2 big ones left to get. This is the tough part of the lineup. Colton to be followed by Sheeran.
Number 2, Emily Colton.
Colton has walked twice and grounded out to third. Against Greenspan today, she has walked twice, singled, and flown out to center on a great running play from Taylor Paulina. Been a difficult out for Greenspan, as Colton is playing in her 143rd career game. Now, you see that in softball more than any other sport because they play 40 to 50 game schedules. A little bit low, 2-0. But to play in that many games just shows how valuable and how healthy, or at least how well she's been able to fight through some bumps and bruises that Colton has been. Apparently she missed the last half of last season. She pops it up to the shortstop with a torn labrum, so pretty much hasn't missed any other games throughout her career. Brings up Sierra Sheeran with 2 down, and the Beacons leading 3-2, trying to escape with a doubleheader split. This has been a really even doubleheader. The Corsairs have outscored the Beacons by a single run, but it was UMass Dartmouth scoring the first 5 runs. The Beacons have scored 6 of the last 7. Hit out to right in foul territory, and Gate is not going to get there. Sheeran still has 2 strikes left. She's grounded out to short twice, singled up the middle, was thrown out on a fielder's choice. Oh, 0-1 as the Beacons look to take their first win of the weekend. They have 2 more games tomorrow at Western Connecticut. They're going to call that first pitch an illegal pitch, so it's 1-0 instead of 0-1. On the outside half, 1-1. Now, if you're not as familiar with softball rules, UMass Dartmouth can take the result of a play that has an illegal pitch, but on that, even if Gate had made the play, it would have been a ball, and the out wouldn't have been recorded. So instead of a foul ball, it became a ball. 1-1 is hit on the infield. Greenspan calls it herself and makes the play. UMass Boston, after a disappointing game 1, able to pull off the doubleheader split and move to 3-5 in conference play. UMass Dartmouth now at 6-4 in conference, and the Beacons potentially one step closer to at least getting into the LEC tournament. Once you get there, anything can happen. A big doubleheader split. Remember, the Beacons have 6 more conference games. We'll take a quick look ahead before we close up here at the UMB softball field. UMass Boston tomorrow, they've got 2 more big ones at Western Connecticut State. Those games at 1 and 3. No video, but there will be live stats, so you can follow along if you're a UMB softball fan. The Beacons at Keene State on Tuesday. 2 big games against the team they could be competing for one of those last few spots at 3:30 and 5:30. The Beacons are supposed to be at home on Wednesday, although there is rain in the forecast. Beacons hosting Salve Regina in an NCAA regional semifinal rematch against the Seahawks. The Beacons walked off in that one thanks to a Roxanne Vento homer. And then at home next Saturday, the Beacons chance against the last place team in the conference to earn 2 big wins. They'll take on Rhode Island College at 1 and 3. Finally, let's give a big shout out to our production crew doing a tremendous job not dealing with the elements as much as they've had to all season long. My name is Seth Lorensky, your producer and play-by-play guy. Lauren Mitziaris directing, and Cassie Murphy on camera. UMass Boston and UMass Dartmouth split here at the UMB softball field. The Beacons drop game 1 5-3 and earn a big 3-2 win thanks to a Taylor Paulina RBI single in the bottom of the 6th to score Roxanne Vento. That'll do it from Boston. A split between the battle of the UMasses, and both teams maybe a step closer to wrapping up an LEC spot. Thanks so much for watching, folks. Have a great rest of your week.